got me here now. Entertain me. Oh, yeah, he's wonderful. He's the best Hulk so far. I don't know if that's is that a compliment? I meet him. I say, hey, you're the best Hulk.
Over on this side, Gordon, if you have somebody. Hello.
Hi. George R. George R. Martin, when he was younger, wrote you letters. Do you remember those letters to you?
The creator of Game of Thrones, George R. Martin, apparently wrote you letters when he was a kid. Oh, it's okay. George, the creator of Game of Thrones, George R. Martin, apparently wrote you letters.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that when he was a kid?
I don't remember it, but it was all over the internet lately. So I'd like to meet him and thank him, but I haven't. He doesn't go to comic conventions, does he? I haven't run into him yet, but if any of you run into him, tell him thanks a lot for the great publicity he's getting me.
The letters from fans that you receive over the years, what do they mean to you?
Oh, they meant everything to me. That fan mail was the greatest because it was like they were doing my job for me. They told me what stories they like. They told me the kind of stories they don't like. Made my job easy. All I had to do was write the kind of stories they like. It was the easiest thing in the world.
I was wondering, what is your favorite character that you did not create?
Favorite character, but that you didn't create?
I don't have any favorites I didn't create. No, actually, I like Sherlock Holmes. I don't know if any of you ever heard of Scarlet Pimpernel, but that was the first superhero that I really loved. And I know you really want me to mention a comic character, a comic strip character, don't you? Well, I'll be honest with you. I kind of like Batman. I think he's a good character. And Superman, the only thing that bothered me about Superman was every time he would take off his glasses, people would say, Superman, where did Clark Kent go? So they weren't smart.
Do you have a favorite that you've created?
Oh, all of mine are my favorites. I love every one. But probably if I have to mention a favorite, it would be Spider-Man. Spider-Man. And you may all take notes if you wish. We had done a couple of other books. I forget which, probably the Fantastic Four, maybe the Hulk, X-Men, I don't know. But at one point, my publisher said to me, hey, these things are doing pretty well. Give me another superhero. I want a new one. Well, when he said that, I had to do it, or else I was in trouble because he was paying my salary. So I went home and I tried to think, what other character could I get? It seemed to me there were no superpowers left. With the Fantastic Four, we had the Thing, who was the strongest guy around. We had the Torch, who could fly and burst into flame. We had an invisible girl with a force field. And we had a guy whose body could stretch. I figured, what's left? So I'm sitting around scratching my head. I sometimes scratch my head. And I see a fly on the wall. And that was it. I said, wow. What if we had a superhero who could stick to walls like a fly? So I figured, well, what would I call him? I didn't like the name The Fly. Mosquito Man, Insect Man, and then I thought of Spider-Man. It just sounded dramatic and a little scary. So, okay, I had my name, but now I had to figure out who and what is he. So I thought, just for fun, I'd make him a teenager, because there were no teenage heroes that I knew of then. Then I felt I'd give him a lot of personal problems, because again, none of the characters they had around in those days had personal problems. So I went the next morning running into my publisher's office to tell him this great idea I had. And after I finished telling him, he said to me, in words that will live forever, Stan, that is the worst idea I have ever heard. He said, first of all, you can't call a hero Spider-Man because people hate spiders. He said, you can't make him a teenager a teenager can only be a sidekick. And you can't give him personal problems. He's a superhero, for crying out loud. They don't have personal problems. So I went back to my office with my tail between my legs. Anyway, we had a book we were going to kill called Amazing Fantasy. Now, when you kill a book, nobody cares what you put in the last issue. So just to get Spider-Man out of my system, I had Steve Ditko do a Spider-Man story. I gave him the plot. And I put it in Amazing Fantasy, put it on the cover, so at least I had done it. I figured the publisher, Martin, he'd never notice. And we published it. Well, a month later, we would get our sales figures every other month or something like that. When the sales figures came in, Martin came running into my office. He said, Stan, do you remember that character Spider-Man that we both loved so much? He said, let's make a series of it. And that's how Spidey was born. Excelsior. Oh. You want me to say it? Excelsior. What happened was, when I was writing the fan mail pages in my little Stan Soapbox column, I would always end with some corny expression I used, like I'd say, face front, or enough said, or any little thing. And I found that in the competition magazines, they were using my expressions. They were copying them. And I didn't like that. So I said, I'm going to come up with something. They won't know what it means. They won't know how to spell it. And I noticed the state of New York. I lived in New York. The Great Seal on the state of New York has the word Excelsior on it. And that really means, it's a beautiful thing. It means upward and onward to greater glory. So I started using Excelsior, and I guess I was right. They didn't know what it meant. They didn't know how to spell it. And nobody's bothered with it. So it's mine. It's nice seeing you.
Over on this side.
I also want to say thanks, Stan, for all the stuff that you've given us and all how important you've been to all of our lives. But my question was, besides friends and family, what makes Stan Lee happy? What are you a fan of?
What makes me happy? Besides your friends and family, what makes you happy? What are you a fan of?
I think coming to conventions like this, because I can't believe there are so many wonderful people who care that much about these stories and the comic books and movies and television and entertainment, and it's just, I love it. I mean, I wish I could go to a convention every day. This makes me very happy. You say that. I don't know why, but years ago, DC Comics asked me if I would write my version of their top characters. And I forget what they printed. It was a series they had. It was called something like, What If Stan Lee Had Created Superman? What If Stan Lee Had Created Batman? And there was one, and I wrote my own version of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, the Green Lantern, and a few others that I've forgotten. And the terrible thing about it, the stories I wrote were good, and they were illustrated beautifully, but there's no way that DC can make movies of them, because that would be putting down their own characters the way they are. So those books are just there. They sold well, but they couldn't turn into movies. I feel sorry for DC, because they would have made great movies. Oh, I love them all. You know, I'm not a guy really who has favorites. I tend to like everything I do. And I've done so many voices. Sometimes I go to the studio and I do a voice, and I don't even know what I'm doing it for. They just give me the script. They say, read this. You'll be the mayor of the... I'm the mayor of the town in some Marvel cartoon strip. I swear I don't know what strip that is. But I make a great mayor, let me tell you. And in some others, other characters, and I just did was not really a cameo. It's more like a real role. I just did a role in Kevin Smith's new movie. If you know Kevin Smith, he's the guy who did Mallrats for him. So when you see this new movie, I can't tell you what it is. My friend Mike there, Max rather, is getting so nervous because I'm not allowed to mention what it is, and he's afraid I'm going to mention it and we'll all be in trouble. It's okay, Max, I won't tell what it was. But I was magnificent in it, of course. So don't miss Kevin Smith's new movie, whatever the hell the name is, I forgot already. Well, I have to make them up because I really like everything and I have to pretend there are things I don't like. I don't like addressing an audience like this, and sometimes I see an empty seat, and I won't talk unless we have a full house, let me tell you. But this is great. You're all here, so you're lucky. I'll keep talking.
Hello, sir. Hi there. This may kind of be a redundant question because you kind of answered it saying you don't have favorites, but I was wondering what your favorite cameo you've ever done was and why.
You know, I heard every bit. Your favorite cameo that you've done and why? I've loved every cameo I've done. I see them when they come out in the movie and I say, boy, I'm good. I'm not good at favorites because I like everything, but I kind of like the one where I was with 3 girls and Iron Man came by, Robert Downey Jr., and he said, looking good, Hef, or something like that. He thought I was Hugh Hefner, and I turned around. And I know Hugh Hefner, and I think he was angry that he didn't play that role. And then I like the latest, again, don't worry, Max, I'm not going to tell him what it is. But the latest one I did just a few days ago, what was it? Oh, I remember. I did a very funny one. Was it the Avengers? What was it, Max? Do you remember? What?
He's not going to tell you.
Oh, you're not even going to tell what movie it is? Well, anyway, in some movie last week. So the next movie it opens up, be sure you go to see it, and you'll say, boy, Stan was right. That was terrific.
You yourself could have a superpower. What would you choose?
I've answered that before, and I think it's such a clever answer. You know, I'm so proud of myself for thinking of this. The one most perfect superpower in the world would be luck. Because if you're lucky, you can accomplish anything, and nothing would ever hurt you. A guy shoots at you, the bullet misses, because you're lucky. You want to win the lottery and get $100 million, you win it because you're lucky. The only reason I can't write a superhero with the power of luck, all these guys have to be visual. They have to look interesting in some sort of outfit. I can't think of any reason why a guy who's lucky would wear a costume. So that's I shouldn't have said this because now some other writer may hear what I've said, and he'll think of a way to give him a costume, and he'll write about my lucky hero, and I'll have lost that whole idea. All of you, forget I said that. Strike it from your memory.
Mutants going to get the same love that Spider-Man and Superman and characters like that have gotten. Yeah, when will the mutants get that much love from fans?
Well, if the public starts loving the mutants, then we wouldn't have any excuse to do mutant books. They have to be disliked so that you can have the fighting and the philosophy and the psychology involved. But if they're suddenly accepted by the public, then they become like anyone else. And our characters must never become like anyone else.
Question. Based on some of the Marvel movies you've done cameos in, I'm not going to name names, what was so wrong with Mallrats that it took you until now to do another Kevin Smith cameo?
I don't know. Kevin and I are big friends, and I've been on his, he has a little show where he's in a comic book store. I've been on that. And he's done 1 million interviews with me for his radio site and things. But I think he feels the movies he does, they're not big budget movies. And I think they don't rate a man of my massive talent. but hey, I have another question for you. How come, if you saw me, and you must have seen it, in the Big Bang Theory, how come they haven't asked me back? Now, don't just sit there. Get busy with your letters and emails, and you make sure. Oh, and another thing. Obviously, you people have a lot of influence, so I want you to figure out a way to contact the Motion Picture Academy and find out why they don't have an award for the best cameo of the year. Right? All right, I'm counting on you.
Stan, thank you so much for being here.
That's all I'm just getting started.
That's it, yeah.
That's it?
Anything else you want to say to the fans?
People can only take that much of me, I know. Okay. Hey, listen, you people are wonderful. Thanks a million for having me. It was great.